Listen closely, because you need to understand exactly what is happening in Washington right now. The federal government is partially shut down. Thousands of workers are sitting at home without pay, and the official narrative is that Democrats are refusing to fund the Department of Homeland Security. But here is the reality that no one is explaining clearly. The agency at the very center of this fight, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, isn't affected at all. They are still operating. They are still conducting raids. They are still making arrests. Why? Because they already secured $75 billion last year that they can spend over the next 4 years. So this shutdown isn't about stopping ICE. It is about something much bigger. It is about whether Congress has the power to place any limits on how Trump's immigration enforcement operates. And the answer to that question will reshape American law enforcement forever. Picture this. It is Saturday morning, January 25, 2026, in Minneapolis. An ICE operation is in motion. Federal agents are sweeping through a neighborhood. They have no judicial warrants signed by a judge. They are using administrative warrants signed by other ICE agents. Some of them are wearing homemade masks to hide their faces. There are no body cameras recording the encounter. Suddenly, shots are fired. When the smoke clears, 37-year-old Alex Pretty is dead. He was an ICU nurse. He was an American citizen. He was not the person ICE was looking for. He was just a man in the wrong place at the wrong time. This is the second American citizen killed by federal immigration agents in Minneapolis this month. The first was Renee Nicole Good, a mother of 3, shot earlier in January. And that is the spark that ignited the current shutdown. I'm Herrick McCain. Welcome to Firepoint. If you want the unvarnished facts, subscribe to this channel right now. Because what I am about to break down isn't just about a budget fight or immigration policy. It is about a fundamental question. Can federal agents operate with essentially no oversight, no accountability, and no constraints? And if they can, what does that mean for the safety of every American? Let's get to the reality of what happened in Congress. The headlines are screaming about a partisan brawl over funding. But that is a distraction. The real story is that Democrats tried to attach legal conditions to Homeland Security funding that would fundamentally alter how immigration enforcement works. And Republicans are saying, absolutely not. Not because they want to negotiate a better deal, but because they believe ICE should have unlimited authority to do whatever is necessary to deport people, even if that means American citizens are collateral damage. If you don't know how we got here, you need to look at what Trump did last year. In his One Big, Beautiful Bill Act, he handed the Department of Homeland Security $165 billion. That is not annual funding. That is a war chest they can spend over multiple years. ICE got $75 billion. Customs and Border Protection got $65 billion. For context, the entire annual budget of the FBI is about $35 billion. Trump gave ICE more than double that, and he gave them the freedom to spend it however they want over 4 years. Why does that matter? Because the current fight is over the annual appropriations bill. That is the standard budget Congress passes every year. That bill would give DHS another $64 billion. But Democrats are drawing a line. They are saying, we will not vote for this unless you agree to reforms. Body cameras, no face masks, judicial warrants instead of administrative ones, independent investigations when agents kill people, basic accountability. Here is the timeline of the breakdown. On Thursday, January 29th, Democrats announce a deal with the White House. They agree to fund the rest of the government through September, but they separate DHS funding. They ask for a 2-week window to negotiate reforms before releasing the Homeland Security money. Senate Republicans agree. Trump agrees. It looks like a solution. Then, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham throws a wrench in the gears. He storms into Senate Majority Leader Thune's office and threatens to block the deal. He wants votes on his own pet projects, sanctuary cities, and protections for Congress members' phone records. It was classic Washington hostage-taking. Eventually, Graham backs down, but the delay pushes the vote to Friday. Then comes Friday, January 30th. The deadline is midnight. The Senate finally votes 71 to 29. It passes with bipartisan support. Democrats vote yes because they got their 2-week negotiation window. Republicans vote yes because Trump gave the green light. The bill goes to the House. But there is a problem. The House is gone. They left town for the weekend and aren't returning until Monday. Speaker Mike Johnson knew this. Everyone knew this. But they couldn't vote earlier because of Graham's delay. So at midnight on Friday, funding expires. The government partially shuts down, not because anyone wanted it to, but because the House physically wasn't there to vote. And then came the moment that exposed the true stakes. Sunday morning. Speaker Johnson goes on Meet the Press. He is asked point-blank if he supports Democratic demands for body cameras and bans on masks for ICE agents. His answer, no. Not, we will discuss it. Just no. Because in Johnson's view, and in Trump's view, ICE should operate without handcuffs. If they want to mask their faces, fine. If they don't want cameras recording their actions, fine. If they want to write their own warrants instead of going to a judge, fine. The entire point of giving them $75 billion was to unleash them. Any restriction is seen as an obstacle to mass deportation. Here is the strategic reality. Democrats aren't trying to defund ICE. They can't. ICE is already sitting on a mountain of cash. They doubled their workforce last year from 10,000 to 22,000 agents. They are handing out signing bonuses and student loan forgiveness. They are building new detention centers. They have funding for years. What Democrats are trying to do is impose rules of engagement. You can operate. You can make arrests. But you must follow basic law enforcement standards, judicial warrants, identification, accountability for lethal force. That is the entire fight. But here is what makes this historically significant. ICE is arguing that standard law enforcement rules do not apply to them. They claim that because they are doing immigration enforcement, Fourth Amendment protections about warrants and searches are just suggestions. Due process is for criminals, not immigrants. And accountability for killing citizens, that is someone else's problem. This isn't hyperbole. This is their official stance. When Democrats demanded judicial warrants, Vice President J.D. Vance went on TV to defend administrative warrants. He said they are still warrants. Technically, yes, but an administrative warrant is signed by the same agency conducting the search. An ICE agent writes it. Another ICE agent signs it. Then they kick down a door. No judge involved, no independent check. And if they kill someone, ICE investigates itself. The FBI announced a parallel investigation into Alex Preedy's death. Parallel, not joint. Because federal law enforcement doesn't trust local police to fairly investigate federal agents. Some analysts say Republicans are just posturing and will eventually agree to some reforms to end the shutdown. There is some evidence for that. Senator Rand Paul has said he dislikes administrative warrants and prefers Fourth Amendment standards. That suggests a crack in the Republican wall. But that analysis misses the bigger picture. Trump doesn't want restrictions on ICE. He wants them to be feared. He wants the public to know that if ICE shows up, they have total power. Masks, no warrants, no cameras. That isn't a bug. That is the feature. Fear is the engine of mass deportation. If people know ICE has to follow rules, they might resist. They might demand lawyers. But if ICE operates like a paramilitary force, people comply. And Trump is encouraging exactly that. So, what happens next? Watch the House vote on Monday. Speaker Johnson claims he has the votes, but his margin is razor thin. One single defection kills the bill. Some Republicans are angry that the 2-week negotiation window is too long. They want to fund everything now and fight later. If Johnson fails, the shutdown drags on. But assume the House passes it. That ends the partial shutdown for most agencies. Defense, transportation, Treasury are safe. But DHS only gets 2 weeks. Then the real war starts. Democrats want body cameras, no masks, judicial warrants, independent investigations. Republicans want none of it. They want the status quo. How do you compromise when one side wants the rule of law and the other side wants unchecked power? In the medium term, the next 2 weeks are critical. Will Democrats hold the line? Or will they fold when Republicans threaten another shutdown? Because that is the play. Republicans will run out the clock. They will offer token concessions, maybe cameras for some units, but not all. And they will say, take it or leave it. If Democrats refuse, we get another shutdown. But this time, it is just DHS. And Republicans will scream that Democrats are risking airport security and disaster response over political games. It is a trap. Democrats either accept weak reforms or get blamed for crippling national security. My assessment based on the evidence, Democrats will get crumbs. They might get body cameras because cameras are standard now. They might get agents to wear visible ID numbers. But judicial warrants? No chance. Trump will never sign that. It would slow down the deportation machine. Every warrant would need a judge. ICE would have to prove probable cause. That is exactly what Trump wants to avoid. He wants ICE to be able to knock, enter, search, and arrest on suspicion alone. Administrative warrants allow that, judicial warrants do not. So that is the red line. Republicans might give on cameras, but not warrants, and definitely not independent prosecutors. Trump needs agents who don't hesitate to pull the trigger. The best-case scenario? Democrats negotiate a package with cameras, ID requirements, and tighter rules on administrative warrants, maybe an inspector general with actual teeth. ICE hates it, but agrees to keep the money flowing. The shutdown ends. Enforcement continues, but with slightly more accountability. It isn't perfect, but maybe the next American citizen encountering ICE survives because a camera is rolling. The middle case? Negotiations stall. Republicans offer meaningless reforms. Democrats reject them. We get another DHS shutdown in 2 weeks. It lasts a few days. Public anger mounts. Eventually, they agree to another temporary extension, kicking the can down the road. We end up right back where we started, but trust in the system erodes even further. The worst-case scenario? Democrats surrender. They agree to fund DHS with zero meaningful reforms because they are terrified of the political optics of an airport security shutdown. Republicans declare total victory. ICE continues to operate without checks. And the message to every federal agent is clear. You can do whatever you want. You can wear masks. You can skip the judge. You can shoot first. And Congress will do nothing. Watch for these indicators over the next 2 weeks. Does Trump personally intervene? If he speaks up, it means Republicans are wavering and he needs to stiffen their spines. If he stays quiet, he knows they are holding the line. Watch ICE operations in Minneapolis. Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, flew there to de-escalate. If raids become quieter and more targeted, the administration is managing the PR crisis. If they continue full throttle, they simply do not care. And, most importantly, do any Republicans break ranks? If senators like Murkowski or Collins demand judicial warrants, Democrats have a chance. If the GOP stays united, the reform effort is dead. This goes beyond immigration. It affects the entire federal law enforcement apparatus. ICE isn't the only agency using administrative warrants or investigating itself. If ICE can operate without judicial oversight, why can't the FBI? Why not the DEA? The principle at stake is whether federal agents are subject to the Constitution. The Fourth Amendment demands a warrant issued by a judge, not a permission slip signed by a colleague. If ICE can ignore that, the rule of law is optional. History will not remember the debate over funding levels. History will remember whether Congress reasserted its authority over the executive branch or surrendered it completely. For decades, Congress controlled the government through the power of the purse. If you want money, you follow the rules. Trump found a loophole. give agencies massive multi-year funding up front, and they don't need to listen to Congress anymore. That is what the One Big Beautiful Bill achieved. It broke the power of the purse. Now Congress is trying to claw that power back, but they are fighting a losing battle. You can't withhold money that has already been spent. That is the real story. That is what is actually being fought over in this shutdown. It isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet. It is about whether we are a nation of laws or a nation where armed agents operate with impunity. Democrats are demanding rules. Republicans are demanding results. And in the crossfire, American citizens are dying because the system that is supposed to protect them has been turned against them. Alex Preddy didn't have to die. Renee Good didn't have to die. But they did. And unless something changes, they won't be the last. If this breakdown helped you see the true stakes behind the political theater, hit that like button and subscribe to Firepoint. This story is just beginning. The House votes Monday. The clock starts ticking. And in 2 weeks, we will know if Congress still matters. Tell me in the comments, should ICE agents be forced to get warrants from a judge, or should they have the power to do whatever it takes? I'm Herrick McCain, and I'll see you in the next video.